How's it going, everybody? My name is LuckyBunz, and in today's video we're going to be going over the recent raid changes that Niantic made again in Pokemon GO. So since my last video, they posted a tweet confirming that the changes that they had made were actually intentional, and that they're going to be tweaking them as necessary moving forward. So let me read you the full tweet. Trainers, we have launched improvements to raid battles to increase stability, reduce latency, and provide the ability to expand them in the future. This may affect the timing of some Pokemon moves, and we are monitoring these changes and your feedback and may adjust them over time. So since this tweet actually got posted, Niantic updated raids again, but not for the better. So I received quite a few comments about Kyogre actually spamming high energy moves like Thunder, Blizzard, and Hydro Pump, and there were many videos showcasing these changes online as well. I even decided to do a remote raid for Kyogre to get some more footage for this video because I really wanted to showcase this properly. I rarely, if ever, do remote raids. I actually haven't used Pokecoins on them since the pandemic when they were 100 coins each. I usually keep a max of about 2 in my inventory, and that way I actually have a chance to get the free one from the Research Breakthrough box each week. Anyways though, why exactly is this happening? So the main reason is because of the new energy generation mechanics that were changed again after that tweet was posted. So raid bosses were supposed to get less energy when taking damage, right? This was set at a rate of 2%, but it looks like Niantic actually changed it to 50%. Yeah, you heard me right, they went from 2% to 50%. This basically ended up turning charge moves into fast moves though because they generated energy pretty much immediately. Now with that being said though, in the old system it was set to 50%. However, with all the recent changes to energy generation and the 0.5 cycle, I can imagine that Niantic is trying to find a good balance point for raid difficulty, and right now with all these recent changes, I just feel like everything is just so unpredictable. Like, in 2 or 3 days from now, things could change drastically once again. But I would be genuinely surprised if they did not fix this relatively soon. With Groudon coming into rotation next week and Dynamax raid battles as well coming into rotation in the next 2 days, people are going to run out of revives and potions really quickly, unless it was actually intentional to get players to buy more revives and potions. Well, that is a theory. From my own personal experience though, I can tell you right now, so the Kyogre raid that I did, it had Blizzard. This thing was spamming Blizzard so frequently. Like, I mean, it was just insane how it was getting to Blizzard that fast. And honestly, with these recent changes, I just don't know what to think moving forward. Like, I guarantee things are going to change again relatively soon. I just don't know in what way, so we'll talk more about what you should do moving forward, but we do have some other raid changes I want to go over. So one thing I forgot to talk about in my last video was shadow raids and the bugs that are actually affecting them. So for those of you unaware, the enrage mechanic has been glitching out in different ways. This started happening during Shadow Lugia raids and was turned off temporarily, because it was pretty much impossible for players to beat the raids. By doing this though, this actually provided players with a much better experience getting these raids done. I truly do hate the purified gem mechanic in game, and I'm sure some of you guys do as well. It is just so bad, and it either needs to get revamped or just removed entirely. Collecting these gems takes way too long, and honestly, if you end up failing the raid, it consumes the gems that you actually use, which means instead of actually just jumping back in and trying again, you have to go and collect this resource, which pretty much guarantees you're going to lose a raid pass if you only have a small amount of players with you. If you have a lot of players, you can pretty much power through the enrage mechanic, which is pretty unlikely though considering that shadow raids are in person only. Anyways though, moving on to our main point here, so with the return of Shadow Raikou raids on the weekend, this mechanic was turned on once again, and players have been having a lot of issues. One comment that I got recently actually talked about how they couldn't use purified gems on a Shadow Lapras raid once it actually became enraged. Some players even responded to that comment saying that the same thing was happening to them. So with the upcoming release of Dynamax raids in Pokemon GO, this is likely an indirect cause as to why there's probably so many issues with raids happening right now. That, on top of them actually making changes to the attack cycle. I do believe this change will be good in the long run once they've actually managed to get it working properly, but as of right now, this has just made raids even more difficult than before. Now I do want to provide you guys with some good news though, because Mega Pokemon, or at least the bug that was affecting Mega Pokemon from the last video, has been fixed, so they're functioning as they should now. But for those of you unaware, basically Mega Pokemon were using the stats of their non-Mega forms, and again I talked about this more in detail in my previous video, but I can tell you firsthand from both the Phalanx raids I did today with Mega Rayquaza and during the Kyogre raid I did for the footage with Mega Sceptile, they both seem to be working properly, so hopefully this stays moving forward. Also, Party Play should be working fine as well too. I can't confirm that one though because I wasn't able to do anything with the party today. Now there was actually one more thing I wanted to go over. Basically when you dodge now, the lower that your Pokemon's HP gets, the less damage it is going to take if you actually successfully dodge. Now of course we have no idea if this change was intentional, but if it was, this is actually massive, alright? And the reason for that is because when you do short man raids like solos, duos, trios, and stuff like that, typically you don't want to dodge. Like, you just want to be taking the hits straight up, and then, you know, because you take that hit, you generate more energy, and then you can throw more charge moves, therefore beating the raid boss even faster. So basically the key advantage here, I think, is that you don't want to have to relobby, at least from my own experience doing solo raid bosses and stuff like that. Like, I've done a lot of raid challenges, and, you know, when it comes down to relobbying, that really gets rid of a lot of your time, especially during solos. The raid boss will actually generate HP while you're in the process of relobbying because there's nobody in the raid. Now, let's say, for example, you're doing a duo raid, or at least a trio raid, right? And you always have at least one player fighting the raid boss at one time. This actually prevents the raid boss from generating HP, whereas if you actually all went down at the same time, and then you went back in, there was nobody fighting the raid boss for a little bit of time, which means it's going to actually generate HP. Basically, long story short, when you're doing short man raids, you don't want to have to relobby that often. So, I mean, the fact that this potentially could be a new mechanic that we could have going forward is pretty cool in my opinion. If you do want to check out the full video analysis, I'm going to leave a link to a video in the description down below, which actually shows how this mechanic works against a Mega Absol raid. So basically what you do moving forward now, well, until this is all fixed, you may want to stock up on revives and potions before deciding to do raids. I normally keep my supply around 20 to 30 max potions and 20 to 30 revives, because I don't really raid that much as a free-to-play player. Even combined with rocket battles outside of takeover events, this is usually more than enough for me. I could probably even have as low as 5 to 10 max potions and 5 to 10 max revives, and I would actually be fine, because I'll just end up getting them back from opening gifts and spending Pokestops. However, with this recent mechanic of spamming heavy charge moves like Hydro Pump, Blizzard, Thunder, and with Groudon upcoming into raids soon, that'll be Fire Blast, Earthquake, and Solar Beam, I would recommend holding on to a lot more potions and revives than you normally do. From that Kyogre raid I did, I almost had to relobby twice. This is with level 40 and level 50 optimal counters. So if I did a raid hour or something like that, I would probably have to have around 100 max potions and 100 revives at least. For those of you guys who have been raiding a lot recently though, I would love to get some feedback in terms of what you guys have been going through, especially with Groudon raids upcoming. I feel like a lot of players are going to want to do those raids, and so with that being said, some of the more experienced and hardcore raiders can actually provide some better feedback than I'm able to do on this. Now also really quick before we end off the video, I would like to get some feedback on what types of videos you guys want to see on the channel coming soon. I've received a lot of recommendations like normal, but with all these raid changes and no big events upcoming besides the Go Big event, which is basically just the introduction of Dynamax raids, I'm not really sure what to cover besides Ponyta Calm Day. That video should be out around Wednesday, by the way. My next best Pokemon to power up videos will be ones that are focused on the new best Pokemon, and then also one for budget Pokemon, which has been highly requested this entire year. Currently, I'm just waiting until Game Press updates their website so I can start gathering data. There are some infographics that have been posted with the top Pokemon, but none of them really factor in Pokemon levels, so again, I really want to run the analysis myself. If you guys want me to cover the top Pokemon anyways though, based on some of those infographics, I could put together a video. It just might not be as good as some of my other videos because I do a really thorough analysis going over level recommendations. Let me know in the comment section down below regarding those two videos, but moving on, I figured there would also be a lot of questions related to Dynamax Pokemon once that feature goes live on September 10th, so I'll make a separate community post for that and then I can pull relevant questions. So yeah, basically any sort of video recommendations you guys want me to cover on the channel in the near future, let me know in the comment section down below. It would be greatly appreciated. For now, if you guys want to get a preview of how Dynamax raids actually work based on the information that we know so far, you guys can check out this video right here.